Liberalism is extremely harmful in a revolutionary collective. It is a corrosive which eats away unity, undermines cohesion, causes apathy, and creates dissension. It robs the revolutionary ranks of compact organization and strict discipline. It prevents policies from being carried through and alienates the party organization from the masses which the party leads. This is an extremely bad tendency. Liberalism stems from petty bourgeois selfishness. It places personal interests first and the interests of the revolution second, and it gives rise to ideological, political, and organizational liberalism. People who are liberal look upon the principles of Marxism as abstract dogma. They approve of Marxism, but are not prepared to practice it or practice it in full. They are not prepared to replace their liberalism by Marxism. These people have their Marxism, but they also have their liberalism as well. They talk Marxism, but they practice liberalism. They apply Marxism to others, but liberalism to themselves. They keep both kinds of good in stock and find a use for each. This is how the minds of certain people work. Liberalism is a manifestation of opportunism and conflicts fundamentally with Marxism. It is a negative and objectively has the effect of helping the enemy. This is why the enemy welcomes its preservation in our midst. Such being its nature, there should be no place for it in the ranks of the revolution. We must use Marxism, which is positive in spirit, to overcome liberalism, which is negative. A communist should have largeness of mind and should be staunch and active, looking upon the interests of the revolution as his very life and subordinating his personal interests to those of the revolution. Always and everywhere he should adhere to principles and wage a tireless struggle against all incorrect ideas and actions, so as to consolidate the collective life of the party and strengthen the ties between the party and the masses. He should be more concerned about the party and the masses than about any private person, and more concerned about others than about himself. Only thus can he be considered a communist. All loyal, honest, active, and upright communists must unite to oppose the liberal tendencies shown by certain people among us and set them upon the right path. This is one of our tasks on the ideological front. So again, Mao's purpose and goal in combat liberalism should be fairly clear. Liberalism as an ideology and as a practice corrupts revolutionary struggles, and it should always be rejected. It is not enough simply to claim to be a communist or anti-capitalist. One should always engage in concrete revolutionary struggles. One must be vigilant against mistaken and counter-revolutionary ideas, and we must always take action to prevent them from spreading. In this case, combat liberalism outlines a very solid and fairly complete revolutionary discipline. I myself, of course, have my liberalism as well, as I would imagine most of you do. Often I engage in, well, I'll be upfront. I like the sauce. I like to drink. It's quite enjoyable. And for the most part, this, doesn't interfere with my activities. But insofar as I'm inebriated or enjoying a drink, right, I'm not carrying out the revolutionary struggle. Every dollar I spend on petty, self-interest, petty activities that really serve no purpose, I am practicing liberalism towards myself and not Marxism towards myself. To put this in context, I have been to Nepal, and I've talked to Maoists struggling in Nepal to gain their freedom against the semi-feudal bourgeois imperialist capitalist state in Nepal. Do they have fun? Yeah. Do they enjoy themselves? Yeah. But also they live in quite a bit of poverty, and most of their lives are dedicated to surviving and carrying forward the revolutionary struggle against, again, the corrupt imperialists. So when I compare their revolutionary struggle, or the current revolutionary struggle going on in India, where Maoists are being hunted for organizing the people to resist mining concerns, and then it's literally illegal for a journalist to enter the war zone or talk to any Maoists, and they can have charges brought against them and be thrown in prison for years. And then I take another, sip of my PBR, it's quite clear what I'm doing, which is practicing liberalism. And so, again, not to be overly pretentious, again, I wouldn't want to practice the liberalism of viewing myself as doing some great service to the revolution, but I am, I think, without exaggeration, one of the more advanced elements of the concrete revolutionary struggle, here at least in Utah. Obviously, I hold the revolutionary struggle of Colombia, of India, as a much higher, and Palestine, a much higher and more important. But I myself practice liberalism with myself. And we also, I would challenge each one of you to think about the ways in which you practice liberalism towards yourself. What are the ways in which you hold others to a Marxist standard, or a revolutionary standard, or a communist standard, but don't hold that same standard to yourself? A final point is we are a non-tendency organization, and so we have diverse views. And of course, right, I view, obviously, the views that I hold as correct and as the truth, which is why I'm always willing to defend my views and strongly attack views I think that are mistaken or reactionary or counter-revolutionary. But I also listen to the arguments, and I believe respond to the arguments of those who attack my position, as do, as far as I can tell, everyone here. All of us in this room today put forward strong, principled arguments on why we are an anarchist, why we are religious, why we are a democratic socialist, why we are a pacifist, why we are a vegan, why we are a feminist. But we should also keep in mind that simply because we're non-tendency does not mean that we don't experience our own share of liberalism. There are numerous leftists who are willing to criticize me and Marxist-Leninism, and also, which is fine, they're more than, obviously they should be allowed to do so, but they should confront those ideas openly, as I confront anarchism openly, revisionist Marxism openly, mutualism openly. So too should all of those who have criticisms of Marxism, Leninism, Maoism. They too should confront those openly. And again, we're a democratic organization, so those who view myself or the president or the vice president or any of the committee leaders as moving the RSU in the wrong direction, it is vitally important that they confront that they criticize the organization, in the organization, and bring their qualms to light, rather than hiding them and gossiping and slandering. And so for those who might see this but are not here, I would challenge them in that case to consider their views and whether they are practicing liberalism towards themselves. If one is convinced of the truth of one's position, one should stand as a militant for it. And at least in our current situation, this is the ideological front that combat liberalism is so essential to understanding. Thank you.